Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Zwift Community Live broadcast of the 3R Spring Classic Racing League, race number 1 in the Spring Loaded Racing Series. The whole idea behind this is the Classics are cyclists' biggest one-day races and arguably the most grueling events in real-life racing circuit, and here's the chance to replicate them is what 3R is trying to do, at least the best that they can from what they say in the description. The courses are going to be a lot of times specifically aimed at the UCI. It sounds like, at least today, with the Innsbruck course, obviously with 5 laps, it's going to be grueling. This is a brand new exciting series. It's brought to you by 3R, drawing attention obviously to their charity partners as well, which is World Bicycle Relief, as well as all of the other awesome charities that they do work with throughout the Zwift world. The competition is going to be running for 6 weeks, and it's going to span 4 time zones. We are covering specifically this Americas/European time zone on the broadcast, but there are other ones as well that you can check out on Zwift events. Be watching out for those if you want to jump into the series for the 6 weeks. Each zone will have its own points allocation, and we'll use Zwift Power Points for culling functionality in order to make sure that everything's fair. That means that more racers are taking part in a zone, the more points that are going to be available to win, actually. There will be separate points for GC as well as a points competition, and for the ladies and the men, and all races will start from the mixed pen. The GC standings will take your accumulated time across all 4 events. You can go check out all the rest of the information on this over at zwiftpower.com, as well as in the event description. One last thing on the whole side of things being fair. HRM's heart rate monitors are compulsory in this. There are no power-ups, and the organizer's decision is final. They made sure to say that with an exclamation mark actually at the end. Now, you hear the voice in the background here. I've got somebody alongside of me, and it's really great to have him here, as always, coming out of Colorado, Dave Toll. Dave, welcome to the program, and we've got some fast racing here. It's really cool what 3R is putting together for us here for this spring-loaded series. Yeah, it's going to be absolutely awesome. Let's take a quick little look, though, at what kind of course that we are going to be taking on here today. And I think the reality of this course, thanks a lot to Velo Viewer powered by Strava over here, as well as Zwift Insider for putting this together. The 8.5 kilometers, 5 laps in total. The leg snapper is what everybody's always all about on this course specifically. If we take a look at this thing here, there isn't a lot of elevation gain, but the elevation gain that is on this course is extremely intense for about 30 seconds to 1 minute. We got you, everybody, over in chat. And because I'm able to see chat, and we are going to bring your chat in, I did see your warning there real quick. We had Dave muted up front, but Dave, we got you. We got you about halfway through the explanation. Apologies on that, everybody. We got you, and we had to make sure that up front some of the audio was solid. So thanks a lot for all the warnings there from chat. But if you do want to bring your questions or comments coming on in to the stream, you can go ahead and do so over on Facebook, Twitter, as well as Twitch and YouTube. We'll be bringing all of the comments in or questions that make sense to, or as well as who you think is going to win, who you're cheering on for the day. We're also live today over on Twitter. If you want to go ahead and check that out, is the new platform that we're looking to experiment with. And I believe we'll be live on Instagram in just a few. Save it until you have audio for Dave. Yeah, we got you guys. There's a little bit of lag on the stream, I believe. We should be good at this point, though. But 4 minutes to go to the start of the race. One more thing I definitely want to take a look at is the series standings from who participated in the last series as well as this series here. So who's showing up today? You know, we were talking about prior to the race here, this new dropouts team, they've been showing up to all of the broadcasts here a lot of times, and they have come with a stacked field out here today of Steve Pink, Tom Day, Matt Wheeler, obviously Luke Jabard, the new rider on the team here, Brett Boniface, who's been just hammering away, taking down series after series. He's battling it out, obviously, in the Callis Cup as well. Now here on Tuesday. This is kind of close, though, to the Callis Cup. I wonder if they're going to be all in on this new series for Brett, or maybe working for another rider out there, perhaps Luke. You know, a lot of times he's there for as well as Alex Side, who's been jumping into a lot of the Koa races as well. A 100%. Yeah, we're also looking at some. No, I didn't come up with the leg snapper. We're actually getting a little bit of chatter about the leg snapper here. So it says that looking through here, and it says for the leg snapper here. Oh, and they're actually saying that there's still no audio on. There should definitely be some audio here, so that's interesting to see. I'm gonna see if I can get that for you guys as soon as I possibly can. As I'm definitely seeing audio coming through here. Oh, and I see exactly what is happening. So we will be right back. And we should be good to go again. Apologies on that, everybody. I saw what was happening there with the audio. Dave should be with us now, as the stream had to just restart real quickly there. Apologies on that, everybody, as the audio situation should be solved now. Dave, are you with us, buddy? I'm just going to double check here real quick.
I hope that works. I was just reviewing the riders to watch, or at least our top 5 there. I won't, well, maybe we will. I know we're getting pretty close to race start here. We'll jump right in as the guys get ready to hit out. It's going to be some exceptional racing. If you're joining us for the first time, and that's what I love, Nathan, we are on the front end of a wave right now of people who are picking up on esports. And you're going to enjoy this one. This is a really challenging circuit that they're racing on. 5 times up the leg snapper. When you try to replicate the classics, I was saying, I think this is more like a Liège-Bastogne-Liège vibe that we have.
You're talking about the cobbled races and the punchy climbs. I mean, I think that's kind of what they're going for here, Dave. And I do see everybody's really happy that they can hear you now. So we'll just have a little laugh at ourselves here for a moment, guys. Apologies on that. Success! We can hear Dave now. Absolutely loving it, everybody. There was just a little hiccup there for a second. We got him. So, and I love the comment coming on through here from Abject Stupidity over on Twitch. Turn it off and turn it back. I unplugged it and plugged it back in, and it works now. So we're good to go now. We are good to go now. Thanks a lot, everybody, for your patience on that. Let's go ahead and jump right on. So our pre-show essentially was me just shaking my head over and over again at a silent Dave Toll the entire time. But let's go ahead and jump right on into the racing, as the A category is taking off from, actually, it's a mixed pens out here today. So interesting to see how this may change things up, as we do have the B's and the A's and the C's and the D's all together out here today. I do see C. Howard here, CVC now making his way forward. Hetherington here now as well. We're going to keep on moving forward here and see if we can find the front end of this A category as well, as I do have them out on course here. It does look like it's calling them a little bit here, though, so we're going to see if we can jump in with our A specifically out there as well today. But we will be covering the Bs and the As out here, so just keep an eye out for all the riders in the B category. But because it's uncalled, it looks like with a bunch of the other riders, it looks like we may be able to have some riders that might need a category upgrade, or some of these other riders from some of the other categories that can be able to hang on throughout the race here at the higher end of the categories, perhaps, and maybe get a little bit of an upgrade if they've been hiding out in the lower categories so far.
Getting a nice look at the Innsbruck course here. The Irishmen doing a great job early. Egan and Cahill have been riding up near the front, Nathan. Look how this group's already stringing out. It is going to be fireworks the first time they hit the bottom of the leg snapper. This is really my favorite kind of racing. Look at this little gaps opening up right now on the front of the field here. We're only 1 kilometer in. Nathan, I know you don't need the help, and none of these A riders need the help, but there was an awesome article I just read in cycling on cyclingtips.com. 15 tips for people racing on Zwift. And one thing they talk about is how hard the starts are. And you really, I mean, you've got to have your engine revved up and pinned 10 seconds before you start, actually. And you
Yeah,
can see
absolutely.
why.
Absolutely. It's just everything you really got, though, right from the get go. A lot of times to just, well, everything you got initially, if they really drive the pace actually out there today. And it looks like we are getting a little bit of that. Now, I'm going to jump in real quickly at our other feed here. We do have, because it is not a called pens out here today, and they're all starting together mixed. We actually see Vicky Nealon here from the BRT team jumping in with the A category out there today, which is really interesting to see that she would be jumping in with the A's. So top woman out, one of the top women racers out here trying to hang on. It looks like she's doing a pretty good job of that. 159 beats per minute here currently. Jay Wilson, PLCC, another one of the top dogs here amongst the men, though. So interesting to see how they're, with the mixing of the categories, actually, how things are playing out here. And the larger bunch, it may make it a little more difficult, but I have a feeling the second that we do hit that first time up the leg snapper, it is going to absolutely blow up, though. I have a feeling that we are going to see nothing but fireworks, and this is going to split very quickly because there's a lot of people just hanging on to the intense pace of the A category riders who are driving it here at the front.
Gotta give Wilson credit, though, huh? Like being the last rider left there. That's a significant thing. I mean, these first 2.5 kilometers are as tough as it gets. The comparison made to cyclocross or mountain bike racing, Nathan, you're out there all the time racing at the highest end of mountain bike races. The start here is tougher. I would maybe not today per se. It's actually, it looks like they're backing off just a little bit right now. Most of these riders sitting at about the 4.5 watts per kilo. That's not backing off in many people's book.
No, and it looks like they're really starting to push the pace here now as they do hit this little 2% uphill gradient here. This section here, this is a false flat 6 section. A lot of times riders will mentally get fueled to think that they can kind of just sit in. It still looks flat, but no, if you back off a little bit here, you can find yourself quickly moving backwards. And there's a right-hand turn they're going to take down into the streets before the leg snapper with a pretty high amount of speed. And you might have to put out way too much into this next section of the course in order to get back on terms with the setup for the leg snapper. So this is still a tactical section for the riders here. They have to really think about how they ride this section to make sure that they're not too far back and fighting for position before they hit that leg snapper.
Well, guess who's back? Timothy Rugg, the American. Remember how active he was in the Calais race that we had just a couple of days ago? Well, here we go. He's back at it now. This man brings a 20-pound sledgehammer with him every time I've watched him race, Nathan. So watch out for Rugg here, although certainly I wouldn't expect any breakaway here before we hit the bottom of the climb. This is truly red alert. Only the strong are going to survive out here today. By the time we make our way through these 45K, we're only 4K in as they can. This was such an awesome Worlds course. I'm watching right now that documentary about the Movistar team. The year that this was where Valverde won, and you could see how that course would really suit the Spanish all-rounder here.
Yeah, and we're looking through at the reality of this course, with this punchy climb. It really does suit, I think. Now, it's only one time up and over the top. We were talking, chat, let us know what you think, because we were talking beforehand, right? And you said, what do you think is the hardest course? And you were like, is it this course? And I said, no. it has one of the hardest climbs to hang on with because it's so incredibly steep, so incredible, just a huge punch. But I thought there was, let me know because I said Richmond UCI or Richmond Hilly UCI, like the one that
Right.
just takes a left-hand turn and goes right back down into the industrial park, Libby Hill 23rd, and right into Governors again. It's essentially like three leg snappers in a row. The
Yeah.
23rd Street is more of a leg snapper, a little bit shorter one. So, there's let me know, chat, though. What do you think in chat? All the different platforms. What is the hardest course out on Zwift as far as racing a race course might go? We'd love to hear from you out there, especially those who are even racing out there afterwards. Let us know if you go back for the replay. We'll even maybe get a poll going out there at some point. Hardest course by far. I'm going to say that it's Richmond UCI as far as hanging on because of the insanity that goes into a crazy threshold effort up and over the top of Governor Street after you already punch it twice. But let's talking about punching here. We're heading into the first time. 5% uphill gradient now as the A's start to take off. And this is where the selection is going to be made. There's for sure going to be a selection here because we've got so many riders still just hanging on from so many categories. It's 11 watts per kilogram toward the front. It looks like Luke G here. This is one of the riders we called out early on, the Canadian. He's the new one from the dropouts here. They've recently picked him up, and he's been such a huge addition to this new dropouts team, this new esports team. They've been really using him in these races. I think it's his time to shine, though, out here today. I think he's been wanting to win. He's been supporting Brett Boniface. It might be Luke's day, though.
All right. Well, here we go, Nathan. The first man who wants to play some cards. It's like it's Mustard who goes off of the front. Let's see what kind of reaction we get. I love the fact that we're already having a major test in this race here as the guys. All right. Little gap starting to open up. Looks like I've got Hodges up there. The other Hodges, I should say. Haugen, Bowen. Some
Looking
familiar
through
names going
Dave
single
Bowen,
file.
Gleason, Hagen, Hodges, though KRT, the man himself, Zwift Power admin at the front of the race here.
Wow.
Amazing to see. And this is a man who does not, he's definitely not timid out on course. He's always getting that TV time early on. And look how he has split this race up.
Wow.
This is already starting to blow apart here. We are seeing Davies BRT now jumping back on terms. We're seeing Hagen from race 3R now. Off the back a little bit even from the main attacks there. There he is. This is the man who drove it over the front. And you can see how sometimes if you put too much, you bet a little bit too much, you can find yourself on the short stack, and it looks like that's what's going on with Hagen just a little bit. Blackburn trying to get on terms, though, 6.2, and this is the chase coming from the dropouts, man.
Boniface is up there. You're looking at the selection being made right now, or at least the first of many selections that this course. I mean, they are punching tickets at the back of the group. It looks like this little reprieve here, Nathan, going to allow groups of riders to come back into what is the field now. But we're going to lose quite a few riders, and that wasn't even the tough part yet. I mean, you were talking about the toughest courses and where we race around the world. Well, racers make the race. There is no doubt about that. And that's what's happening right now. They are just having at it. This thing is turning into a Donnybrook, and we are not even into the first quarter of this race, Nathan. This is some awesome racing going on right now.
Yeah, these boys are absolutely hammered, it looks like here. Blackburn now from the dropouts has closed things down. So that initial kick here has been shut down, it looks like. Bar toward the front now. Cartledge is there as well. Mustard here, as you can see. Richards 3R. There is a little bit of a counterattack. This is interesting to see. Looks like it is Mir here from the draft team. Warren Mir, really strong rider, as you can see, hammered away in that Canadian kit now, as he has been a Canadian national champion out on Zwift here. And Robinson now from the BRT here. Flaherty and Gidry, it looks like, from the WTRL team now, looking to shut things down. That's going to be a rider to watch out for to close down lots of these attacks. The WTRL team, obviously the team that's putting on the team time trials out there, they're going to have big engines and looking to be the just big watts on the front to shut things down with pure speed. It looks like that's what's happening.
Nathan, you want to try to build up a little buffer on this group, or you're going to hang around 6.2 watts per kilo, because look how quickly they bring Mir back into the fold here. Another surge happening. That's going to be Flaherty, isn't it? Now, some new riders now we're starting to see on the front here. Cunningham moving up. Hughes is there.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see how many riders have made this lead group,
It's
and
actually larger than I thought. Yeah.
huge amount of riders here. I think we've got 100 plus maybe still at this point here. So A categories now. Luke G here up toward the front, as you can see. Noonan's there as well. Cunningham, Mustard all together now. So very solid group of riders here with the A category as we're following them along here. We're going to jump in with another feed here real quick. And looking through, though, it looks like a couple of, look at see how it's going on here. If we got any answers for what you think is the hardest course, as Messineo here makes his way to the front end of this pack here, followed up by Noonan, and it looks like Brooks there from Vision. And we're getting a little bit of chatter coming on through. It looks like it is going to be Harrogate. I wouldn't have to, that's when I actually, for some reason, Yorkshire Harrogate course is definitely a great shout out there coming from one of our viewers. Saying that Harrogate, the hardest beginning of any race course on Zwift. And, that right-hand turn, I'd have to agree with you there, Steve Milliken, is very difficult. And there's the reality, of the kick immediately after. That false flat is it's not even a false flat. It's essentially just a 4 to 5% uphill gradient immediately after a Zwift start. So it is a very difficult course, and there's plenty of climbing out on that course as well. So great shout out there to the UCI Harrogate being one of the hardest as well. Now, I think it may be a course, though, where if you might be able to hide a little bit more than you can on something as punchy as a UCI Richmond Worlds course, though. But definitely would not. It's one of my favorite race courses, though, because it's a very tactical course. There's a lot more opportunity on that course than I think there is in the UCI Worlds Richmond, because it's just at the end of the lap, really.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. One of the things, obviously, when you're designing a world's course, which, we race on quite a few of them, don't we, as we are in Innsbruck right now. This Innsbruck course, I think this was considered the toughest worlds, but you look back at Harrogate, and that was just a relentless course. Richmond, at least you have spots where you get some reprieve. Not when you're racing on the Richmond Hilly version there, but certainly if you're racing on the full Richmond, the authentic worlds course, there's some long, flat drags where, as you're making your way through the downtown area. But let's take a look at this now. Going back, this is our A race, isn't it? We're back with here.
We're jumping in with the Bs just a little bit here. Now we are having. It looks like
I saw Cahill there, the Irish, right? Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, there are. So it's a little bit mixed up here. We will have, it's a mass start, it looks like here today. I'm pretty sure that was on purpose, but we are getting a couple of chatters here in game saying what's going on here. Why are they all together? So we'll have to wait and see if that was completely on purpose. I believe mass start was on purpose though out here today. As we do look at some of the B category riders, we'll be following along to figure out where the B categories riders do stand. As I believe we are having a little bit of trouble here. It looks like keeping track of them out on course as far as the client goes. So we'll definitely be able to stick with the A's, as they are not, that our A feed here right now is currently not giving us any issues whatsoever. So we'll make sure that we stick with that, and we'll be able to follow along with the Bs. It does look like it's pretty much split up here at this point, though, between the A and some of the Bs riders. We do still have Jepson from the WTRL team, though. He has been able to hang on at the front end of this race here so far. And that's why I was saying I think we are going to see a few upgrades perhaps out there today if these riders look to hang on with these A category riders and end up a little bit over category limits. It's always a good way to test the legs to figure out if you're riding, down a level because of the talent that you're riding with, and if you can actually push beyond with a breakthrough effort if you do get forced to ride with those who are stronger than you.
Talk about talent. I just saw joining us watching the broadcast, one of the greatest Danish racers of all time, Jakob Storm Peel. I am blown away. Now, this is the cross-pollination between in real life racing and racing here with the esports that I have been waiting for. Someone earlier was asking, do we have any world-class racers or world tour riders in this field? Maybe not technically today, but you're going to see that. But I tell you what, Nathan, during my time in the sport, Jakob Peel was the most exciting racer I have ever seen. A breakaway specialist. He rode for the CSC team under Bjarne Riis and during that very dominant period. But I have a feeling Jakob might be out there racing on Zwift, even though he's got to be in his 40s at this point. Maybe.
Yeah, I have actually seen Jakob. I have seen Jakob, I believe, out on Zwift. It's seen his name in the start list as well. This is Zwift Power as well. So good to see. There's been, and they're coming out of the woodwork, aren't they? At this point,
yeah.
Legend after legend. I did see yesterday. Was it this morning? I believe it was. We also saw a couple of World Tour pros jumping into I think Thomas de Gent was jumping into one of the races as well amongst the community. So, and they're embracing it fully. You know, it's pretty awesome to see how they are doing that.
I love it, and they are getting a little bit of a reality sandwich to them as well with the different style of racing that you see in esports. But Nathan, I want to make sure that we're covering what's happening right now. Another surge happening now. This should be dimming the power grid there in Innsbruck as we take a look at the front group now being tested one more time. Is this Lee? Excuse me. It is Lee, isn't it? But some company coming here, Nathan. Here we go.
Yeah, it's Hodges here from the Evoke team. Davies there shutting it right on down. It was an interesting move there for coming from Brian Hodges at that point specifically, trying to turn the screws a little bit. It might be a little bit early in the race here at this point to try and make something like that happen. Maybe
what do you think? Just not tough
legs. Well, the reality is that we're not late enough into the race. The leg snapper initially will break things apart with those who just can't hang on, who just don't belong amongst the 5.0 plus riders, what we call the A plus riders. If you're falling off the first time over the top with this many bodies to draft off of, then it's most likely that you're going to be a part of that second group almost no matter what. Now, those who make it over the top though at this point, you're going to have to really soften up their legs a little bit. And a solo attack off the front there over that bridge. Falls flat. It's not going to put a lot of hurt in the legs. And essentially, and the interesting thing, I think that Hodges is a rider who is very savvy. So I think he might have just been opening up the legs a little bit. I don't think it was a real serious effort. Maybe just testing to see if the pack wanted to slow down. I don't think that they want to slow down too much. I think something like that. It's going to have to be after 2 or 3 times, maybe even 4 times over the top, and then take a flyer, because you really got to soften these legs up, as I was saying. You got to really put the hurt in, and it's going to take a few more times with a leg snapper to really put the hurt into any of the A-plus riders here without some sort of continuous 8 to 10 watt per kilogram attack here for a long period of time, maybe even with a follow-up counterattack from one of the other teams.
Nathan, in my opinion, Hodges comes in as one of the most recognizable talents in esports right now. He's just that strong. I don't even think that's not a test attack. A test attack would have a little more oomph behind it. What you're looking at there is a guy just who's riding the front, being attentive, and I think he's just that good.
Just kind of finds himself off the front with the power that's being put out there.
I mean, just a
great shout out though. I do see Ryan Larson there shouting out to his teammate from the indoor specialist, Matt Brandt. Matt Brandt, the Missouri State champion, actually. Good to see Matt jumping into the race here. We'll see what he can pull off. And I am a Wisconsin native, actually. Used to hang out with him a lot of times on the Saturday morning dock ride here in the land of cheese. So good to see the local jumping in here. And it looks like Brandt here making his way to the front as well, trying to chase down DeLange here. And it looks like Demon here. It looks like is from the Netherlands, followed by Podsline. Brandt here, 8.5 here. Is he going to come up over the top? I think the smarter riders will push the pace to be toward the front, but not attack off the front here, perhaps. But maybe we got his counter here. Gleason trying to make things fast, though. And it is the riders that make it super fast through here with those 11 watts per kilogram from Flaherty. Then it's Sivori as well now. And this may be a little bit of a threat as the speed comes on through. Amazing kick here. And we are seeing Flaherty in the house, actually. So this must be, am I missing some sort of celebrity here that I should have eyes on, as it's 344 here with Gleason trying to chase that down?
Boy, they're certainly stirring the pot up here on the front right now. Again, that's going to be Flaherty, our 3R rider. Nice to see, but there's the whole group now smothering that one. It's just cover and kill out there. Hey, Nathan, if we're giving shout outs, I saw one of America's top commissars, an international commissar. You might have seen him at some of your races along the way. Phil Miller is joining us. Phil, welcome. Phil, again, esports is on the ramping up to becoming an Olympic sport at some point. It's going to be really interesting to watch how all of this integration happens. But going back to the race right now, the Tête de la Course, it looks like these guys are, look at this surge coming from Hughes right now, straight up the middle of the group to the front. It's hard to move up when they're moving this quickly out here. They're at 53 kilometers per hour, and he just surged. Segabrush is up there. I see the British rider Day is there. Ashton, Davies. These a lot of circulation happening at the front. It's hard to hold a spot up there right now, but then again, there's a man we always have our eyes on, Brian Hodges.
Yeah, Hodges there, 2.9 watts per kilogram. Hodges is really
Chilling.
looking for a sprint type situation. I think we haven't most of the races that Hodges has won has been with the kick. He's so talented with it. He does have a solid FTP, but really his specialty is that quick 10-second to 15-second turnover, and he's got a huge turn of speed, and we'll have to see what he can pull off here up against the field because Boniface, along with the rest of the dropouts here, Luke G out there as well, they're going to be a threat, I think, to any of the hopes of Evoke. Adam Zimmerman, I've seen him posting a lot of times over on his Instagram the last couple of weeks here, and Zimmerman, I think, is hungry. He's been saying, it's just not working out this day. Hasn't worked out this day. Something's been going on here and there. Weeks before that, I saw that he was having some really great results. So we'll see if Zimmerman here can pull something off for that Evoke team, as a very strong rider, I think, looking to try and grab a podium. And being in the first of this 6-round series, these are the riders here who are paying attention to what's going on with this series, who are going to most likely be here for the long haul of all 6 races as we head into the first of this spring-loaded series coming from 3R.
Will they race in Innsbruck for all of the 6 rounds of the series, Nathan?
No, they will not. So there is a entire setup of events here, actually, with all different courses that 3R did release over on their Facebook and other social places, actually. So you can check out the series. I'm looking through for the events right now. That specifically, though, the way that they're setting this up is to try and do something to replicate some classics. So you're always going to be jumping into something that's going to try and go toward a classics type race course. So you can expect a lot of, not so much just long climbs or anything like that. I would assume it's going to be all of these very punchy type courses, actually, like we're seeing here on the Innsbruck Ring. I would assume we're going to see Watopia Hilly in there at some point or something along those lines. I wouldn't be surprised if we end up out on, obviously, UCI Richmond World's course, as we were talking about. The punchier courses that have these shorter climbs that really put the hurt in over and over again. I think that's what we're going to be looking at.
Nathan, I always appreciate your insight. I use ZwiftPower.com, as you coached me up on, to get more data on the riders. And I mean, taking a look, you were talking a moment ago about Hodges. I mean, at 72, 73 kilo for a 15-second period, he can make over 1,200 watts. It's 1,200 and change. That is some serious power. I don't know if he's going to be able to make those kind of numbers after 5 times up the leg snapper here today. But certainly for those that have been training on the road in real life and are wondering, what level we're at, well, there's a good example for you. We learned the other day, or I learned the other day, the Hodges are not brothers, but the other American.
But what's
Hodges
weird? Okay, so somebody said that in chat. Somebody said that in chat that they weren't brothers, and then the guy who we were talking about came in chat and said, "We are brothers." So I don't even know what to think. I have no idea what to think. Who is the brother of not a brother of Hodges? But it was good
Nathan,
to see.
Now I'm pissed. I'm going to invest my time to figure out if I'm going to actually call them on the phone and find out if they're brothers or not. We're going to get to the bottom of this. They have to be. They have the same weight. They make the same amount of power. They look the same, but who knows? This is a crazy world, right? You can never assume anything. But again, this is what we're doing, and I love it, is learning about the human beings, the community that make up this field, right? Either the Hodges are or aren't brothers, but now I'm invested in finding out. That's for sure. So, all right, they're about 20K in, not quite to the halfway point, but further than a third along. What have we learned here, Nathan, so far? I mean,
we've learned that all of these riders so far are plenty strong enough to hang on to any of these attacks. I think that we are going to get into the business end, though, here in about a half a lap or so. We are getting some requests, though. Jump back into the B category, and I'm going to do just that. I do believe we have a solo rider here off the back of this A category. Jepson here from the WTRL, but I'm not absolutely positive on that. It might just be called, and he can't see the other A riders here. So part of the reason, and thanks everybody for shouting out, bring in the B category, bringing the B category. We're trying to stick with it here. It's just, if you can tell, and if you're watching over on Zwift Power, I believe Jepson is actually among other riders right now, but we're not actually seeing it on the feed here. So because of that, we're kind of jumping around trying to figure out what's going on in the feed. And there we go. Now I suddenly have a lot of B riders in front of me. Great. And so it does look like we got Surrey here now, it looks like, from race 3R, as well as Jay Martin up ahead. So there is a couple of riders that have made the front group. So it looks like this may be the front group here in the B category as I continue to move forward. So we're still trying to figure out exactly where the riders stand, though, amongst each other out on course here for the B category. And as we do figure that out, and as the A categories get to the pointy end of the race, I think we'll be able to decipher a little bit better. It's a little bit of a broadcast growing pains, a little bit of broadcast growing pains, actually, I think, when it comes to watching Zwift. So apologies on that, everybody, as we continue to work our way forward here on that side of things with the esports here. But it looks like now Jay Sanderson here, along as Grant Evo here, as we're watching some of the B category riders. I'm looking through, it looks like it's Bailey here, WTRL, as well as Cahill here coming out of Ireland. I believe these riders are actually behind here. This is Dono here from Race 3R. I'm looking at 19.8 though for Stafford here from the WTRL. So I believe this is going to be, yeah, we're all over the place, guys. I'm not going to make any guesses any longer. I'm going to just keep on messing it up for the viewership there, trying to figure out what these images are giving us at this point. I believe I have found close to the front end here at 19.9 kilometers in for that B category. But it does look like they're just a little bit behind this A category. This feed may give us a little bit more information about the B category, as we are seeing here our shoe Ollie here, a little ways behind here as we look at Richardson in a chase group now with them. So it does look like that is the situation, actually. That is the lead group with a couple of other A riders with A Bard. Slavos is there showing, it looks like, from Evo as well. So there's two riders that have made it with these A category riders to try and break away and use some of the stronger riders that they've started with in order to get an advantage over the other B categories out there.
Yeah, with so many people jumping into esports right now, I just want to recap really quickly here, Nathan. We started both the A and the B group together. Basically, for those that are wondering, how do you become an A or a B? Is it like USA Cycling? It's a little bit different. It's really based more on FTP and watts per kilo, but it definitely, there's a pecking order out here. And what we're looking at is maybe some of the B riders that are having an exceptional, or maybe undergraded a little bit, or having an exceptional ride. Nathan, I don't know if there's any B riders left in the group that we're looking at right now, as this is going to be the front group in the A race. So if you look at the vanguard to the very, very front, that's what we've got right now. These are going to be some of the big names in E racing. Brett Boniface, for example, the Canadian rider on the Dropouts team. He's always a rider to watch. I tell you, though, Flaherty has been very, very active today. I see Brandt, the American, is up there. But so we started the A's and the B's together. And that's why we have kind of a unique scenario, as you were talking about. But I think we're pretty much up to speed as we're quickly coming up on the middle point of this race. It's going to be an absolute Donnybrook out here. I guess the thing to remember is that there are going to be 5 total trips up the leg snapper. You're not going to win the race on any of those trips up, except for maybe the last one, but you certainly could find yourself getting your ticket punched. We've seen, this group has just about halved itself, I would say, Nathan, from when we started.
Yeah, I believe that's about right here. And as you said earlier, we're not seeing any B categories here. So, those who are jumping into this race, I believe, have done a pretty good job of self-categorization. It's always nice to see when things end up playing out well with self-policing and good internal government here within the races, actually, for the community. I do think it's far in between. You do see some complaints out there, but I think it is for these larger races and well-run series, it is far and few between a lot of times in the A and the B category, at least, where we do see that. So now, as you were saying, has it split up? It has, but I think it's going to be hard to split this group up at this point because of the kind of quality that has made it. Matt Looker now, 3R, making his way to the front. It looks like Bowen's there now. And we're starting to head into our third time up from the top. Mustard there. It looks like we do have Evoke, though, off the front, I believe, in the gray jersey. see Davies, BRT trying to make her way forward. It is Adam Zimmerman, very light rider here that can make a solid kick. Zimmerman looks like just trying to place himself well in the initial attacks here. You do not want to be too far back if it does split. Matt Brandt make his way forward in the indoor specialist kit now. As you do see, it looks like Safori here now off the front here. Where is his fellow countryman? Messinillo is just a little ways behind there for Team ZF, actually, Zwift Fitness, as Leandro now. The Poison Dart Flog, as he's known in the community. Most likely out there streaming as well right now. He does do have his own streaming channels, actually, that he does do his live racing. So good to see Messinillo jumping out here with us today. A UCI World, I believe he's a Continental Team rider, if I'm not incorrect, and very strong rider. Be watching out for with a solid kick, but not sure it's going to be his day out here, as I believe he's more of a pure climber than he is a one of the classics type, not the classics type rider, not just a pure strongman out there. Zimmerman coming through with a little bit of a kick there. Evoke now. That was interesting to see. Maybe actually a connection issue, I think, going on there for Zimmerman as the game looks to find him, and it bumped him forward there for a moment. But now we do see the BRT on the front there. It's going to be the brown and gray and light gray kit, and it's going to be, look at all the dropouts team toward the front, though, as you can see in those green as Alex Side takes over at the front.
Yeah, I'd have to say Dropouts has the most available power right now, and it looks like they're going to use it. Taking a look now, are they making a selection? I mean, these are the men that made their mark so far.
Yeah,
all right. Well, I think everyone's getting ready, bracing themselves, to tell you the truth, Nathan. They're coming up pretty quickly here on Leg Snapper.
Yeah, coming off the leg snapper there, it looks like the riders calming right on down. We're 3 laps in here at this point.
Yeah,
it's going to be two more to go over the top here. And, you know, this isn't a league group, though, at this point. It looks like a couple have been falling off here now, though. Looking a little ways back, and it seems that, if I can get a good view on it, that 2 or 3 did fall off this next time over. It's going to be Hagen, though, hanging on toward the back here. And I believe it's Hugo from Race 3R as well as Liam Bard there that was unable to hang on. Zimmerman at the back here now after that little bit of a kick toward the front. And it looks like, I believe we've got, I'm trying to see what kind of riders have made this, as well as how many, as we just have group riders nearby. So because of that, we're not going to be able to actually see the current placings for any of these riders until we actually get across the finish line. But Zwift Power can help us out here. To give you an idea of how incredibly popular Zwift is right now, I think the servers all around at Zwift Power right now are being overloaded. I think there's a lot of requests going on over at Zwift Power. I think there's massive amounts of requests going on for Zwift. I think we hit 28,000 riders live. That is a record, I believe. The numbers are just skyrocketing out on Zwift right now, and it's pretty cool to see this community all coming together, especially in these races out here. But I'm looking through to see what this lead pack is, how many are actually in here, if I can get Zwift Power to update out here today. But looks like it's gonna be about 49 riders here, 50 riders that have made this lead group. So there's still plenty of work to be done if you want to try and make a breakaway situation. Now, we do see things getting really stretched out here, actually. Wow. This is a serious move. Look at this. Now, speak to this here, Dave, from your in real life racing experience as well. When you see a peloton like this stretched out, you are in all out survival mode. Zimmerman reads it. He kicks the 9 watts per kilogram. He knows he cannot be out of position because people are letting the gap go. Hodges is moving his way forward here as well. Who is pushing the pace, though, is the question. It's Cunningham and Day. It's the dropouts team, actually. I see 3-4 riders from the dropouts here absolutely hammered. A counterattack from Luke G. Luke G goes up in the 7 watts per kilogram. Wow. He has been slingshotted to the front here. Warthog's going on with them. Boniface is looking to follow it up here. This could be a team time trial off the front if they're able to get this gap here. If they continue to chase each other down and try and work together too much, though, they're going to drag a lot of riders with them. Let's go ahead and see if we can get a camera view from behind here. It looks like it's getting shut down a little bit, but there is mayhem behind. Riders were caught out. That was completely unexpected, I believe.
Luke Gilbeau is going to be shutting down a and China with that effort, man. I tell you what, one rider going with him. Who is that going to be, Nathan, that we've got with Gilles, the Canadian, right now? He comes in as the third ranked rider based on his performance so far this year. These two, even though it's a small gap right now, are really putting the pressure on. Oh, boy. But that group behind, like hungry wolves, Nathan, okay, so they're not going to let this go at all. They're just giving a little bit of leash right now, but looks like they're going to snap, retract it here. We're going to reset this one, but again, that's a name to remember. This is some traffic that they're working through. Yeah, there's riders all over the shop right now. When you look at what's happening on the world's course from just a couple of years ago, but hit your reset button, Nathan. It's all back together again at the front of the A race that we're looking at right now.
Yeah, Luke G there. Nice effort there. That was very coordinated, actually. When we moved to the front, you saw nothing but dropouts at the front. Look at the counterattack. Team draft. Mirror taking full advantage here. 8 watts per kilogram as they head into that false flat situation. That is, this section of the course is the place to make this counterattack. They get a little bit of a gap here. In just a moment, about a K out, maybe a half a K out, they're going to be taking a right-hand turn into that bridge section. If they get away with this, with Cunningham looking to come across here, the dropouts with that tactical move have now put themselves in a situation to perhaps go along with this counterattack. It looks like it's Cunningham, Noonan, Rugg. You were talking about Rugg here.
Yep.
This rider here, extremely talented in real life rider now, professional rider. He said he actually messaged me after the Calais Cup last week and was trying to give us a little bit of a heads up because he actually rode with Jeremiah Bishop, actually, from what I'm told, in a lot of training rides. And so be watching out for Rugg to be one of the dark horses, one of the wild cards out here that are not usually in and amongst the esports teams, but definitely an in real life rider who's cutting his teeth in these races and really learning the ropes. And I'd be watching out for him after a few races here out on Zwift that he may start to be a threat amongst these boys.
Yeah, you're going to hear a lot more from Rugg. It was Cunningham who lit the fuse. It looked like Gilbert was stopping it out, but now back to the front here with the A's race. There is a lot of built-up energy in this group. No one rider's really been able to make a difference. I see Adam Zimmerman is back up there again. That's good to see. The Coloradan Zimmerman has been one of the top American esports racers, always someone to watch. Is this Rugg still off the front right now, or is it Boniface? I'm sorry.
It's Savory, but Boniface is going along with Savory here now, but it's going to be Vanderrod now as well from 3R here, following it up. It's just being covered over and over again, but here's the thing. This is what you have to do. The way that you break a group in Zwift is you attack nonstop, over and over and over again with orange numbers. The moment that they feel that it's calmed down and it slows and everybody starts holding hands, looking to perhaps get a little bit of reprieve, you go again. Now, it looks like the team, though, is acting as one. They're all on the same page, and they're saying we have to just continually send somebody off the front, continue to attack one after another. Do not stop doing that if we want to break them. And it looks like it's starting to work. Boniface is off the front here. Mirror's trying to hang on, but he goes backwards at this point. Brett Boniface, dropouts team. This is the move, it looks like, to at least an opportunity here. They bring this back. I would not be surprised if we don't see another attack just like it for those who want to make some sort of breakaway happen. I think a lot of these teams are very motivated to not have a long, drawn-out sprint.
Well, and I think that they're motivated to try to wear Hodges and Zimmerman out as much as they can for the Evoke team, and they're doing an exceptional job talking about the dropout squad. Again, this is going to be Boniface, the Canadian. Absolute danger man, no doubt about it. As a matter of fact, this is what's so beautiful about the tactics of this sport, is Boniface right now, if he does not win this race with this attack, and right now it's looking like a very solid move here, but assuming that this comes back, well, what has he done? But he's put tremendous amount of pressure on the other teams, and riders like Hodges and Zimmerman, they don't have much wiggle room here, certainly not as much as the much deeper dropouts team. So, I mean, this is kind of bike racing 101 when you look at it right now. One thing is for sure, there's not one rider in this race that will not be aware of the talent that is Boniface. But again, they're not going to play around with him, are they? Look at this group. I'm going to expect that a few other teams are going to pitch in trying to neutralize what we've got going on right here, because this is way too dangerous to play around.
And you can see that there. Noonan's here now, getting to the front here. Conte is there as well, it looks like. And this is getting shut down pretty quickly now at this point. I believe we are going to see this all come back together.
a little early for a counterattack right now as well. I mean, if you really are racing to win this race,
You got to
if
go.
you're
If you're going to
dropouts, who
go
do
at
you
this
send
point,
now?
you got to go all in, and you get a solid gap here at this point, and head into. You have to head into that leg snapper with something though in the legs still to be able to match at least what's being put out of the riders that are chasing you down. If you go right now, it is a huge risk because you could get dropped off on the leg snapper pretty quickly.
And
My question here now though is that I'm seeing at least 3 or 4 flags coming out of Argentina, and that is the country of Leandro Messinillo. And I'm wondering if Messinillo has called up a couple of his mates at this point. They don't have the Team ZF in the name, but I did see the Team ZF manager and creator giving a couple of shout outs
oh,
in their group, looking to kind of form a new esports team. So I wonder if this is kind of a test event right now for the Argentinians to maybe take that on. I'm
well,
not
the
sure if there's
last
any relation there between what's happening, but showing them all show up here, maybe that's what's happening. Is there's a lot of A+ racers here coming out of Argentina that are all together here with Leandro Messinillo.
Nathan, there was a period about 15 years ago, including the first ever stage winner at the Amgen Tour of California, JJ Aedo, Juan Jose Aedo. There's a huge talent down in Argentina. I am really happy to hear you notice that. Expect an interesting next couple of months as they start to organize and get their act together. I mean, the dropouts team, it's not a Canadian team. There's some Americans, some Brits on that squad, but there is a nationalistic element to this, just like, I mean, the Vikings coming out of Norway. Here's Hodges up on the front now. The British rider Hodges here, stringing them out a little bit, Nathan. You made a very good point about 20 minutes ago, though, that if you have made this selection now, if you're in this front group, you don't get dropped easily. Clearly, you're a gritty racer that's come to race today. You're on your game, and yeah, we've made that selection, right? We separated the contenders from the pretenders a long time ago here.
Yeah, definitely. And it looks like this group is still, I mean, they put the pressure on here. And we were talking about, these later laps, that this is the moments where, this is where the rubber's going to really hit the road. You're going to have to go all in, though, if you really want to make something happen. But I think after 4 times over the top, it's been 4 times over the top of the leg snapper. That's when you really start to soften the legs. You've got these attacks from the dropouts team that we saw early on. They've been very tactical trying to set those up. And I think what's happening here is that we're going to start seeing some of the riders tire. We're going to start seeing that the amount of energy that's been put in up to this point is going to start to take its toll, and there's going to be opportunity here. Now, are the riders going to want to take it is the question. They have to make the race. You've got to be willing to risk it here, and we'll have to wait and see if anybody's actually willing. The only ones that we've really seen so far put in a big risk, really try and test things out, have been that dropouts team. We haven't seen anybody really stick their nose in the wind too much. There's been a little bit of testing here and there, but it hasn't been, look, I'm going to really put a couple of chips on the table here. I'm going to throw half my stack. I'm not, maybe not all in efforts just yet, but it's been something where it took some risk and some energy's gone on the table. And I think it has hurt this pack, though, from what we saw early. Some people had to dig deep to close that back down. It did pretty much come back together, but it was like crosswinds there out on the flats, like in the classic races at a couple of points out there today. Boniface at the back now. I think he's setting up. I think he's quieting down here, waiting for something else to happen. But stringing out in this section, we saw this earlier. This is a dangerous section. The speeds are high, and for some reason, this right-hand turn just allows an opportunity. I think people are looking for more reprieve as they just get back on terms after the leg snapper. They're looking to think, look, I'm hurting so badly at this point. I know that everybody else wants some sort of rest, and Rug is taking advantage of exactly that.
Man is relentless. Boniface on the very back of the group. He's the caboose. The locomotive right now is there's cartilage. Okay, this is going to be interesting as we're down to it now. Inside of 10K to the finish. Nathan, your point has been made quite well. Most of these legs should have been softened up quite a bit. The guys actually took a pretty easy break. I mean, I would say that was a couple minutes where everybody should have been able to really at least put a little more charge on the battery for what's going to be full throttle. I mean, get ready. The throttle's going to be wide open here. This group is interesting, no doubt about it. We've got wide range of talent here. Nathan, this is going to be good. We're already
Odds line now
35K
here
in.
looks like 3.7 to rider. We haven't seen a lot of results from Segabrook is in here. Now, this is a rider, though. I just realized Spencer Segabrook, mentioned him a couple times out here today. This is an extremely talented rider. Spencer Segabrook, one of the finalists there, and he's got such a finalist when we were in Long Beach actually a couple years back, made the finals and is an extremely talented rider. I'd be watching out for him, actually, looking for a result here. If he's showing up for the first race out here today, and maybe, I have a feeling that a lot of these riders that are a lot of times, I'll use the word indoor specialists or esports riders in the winter who then move into in real life racing. This might be a move back inside now for this rider who's now showing up for Team Turbo. And I'd be watching out for him maybe. We haven't talked a lot about him so far, but he has proven himself time and again in a solid sprint. And I've actually not seen Segabrook in a while up against some of the other talents in a sprint here. I'm looking, and I would like to see a breakaway situation to make things really exciting. We do see Rugg here going off the front again. A follow-up very quickly. This is last lap go. They are going for it right here, and this might be exactly what I was just talking about, the breakaway we've been waiting for. Rugg's going along with it with Boniface. Carlet's looking to shut it down, but T-Day here shutting that down at 4 watts per kilogram. Nobody willing to chase at this point. It looks like it's be Rugg and Boniface, and those are two talents that can really put the hammer down, and they might be able to make this happen. If two could, it would be them.
Nathan, they're going to have to completely commit. When you're talking about the chips at the poker table, they both got to push them all in right now and trust each other. I love it, though. This is one of the most dynamic moments that you could find in the sport of cycling. It's these two, if they're willing to work together. I mean, we know how good Brett Boniface is. He's one of the best esports racer out there. If he shows up, that has every other rider's head turning. So now look at the gap. Here we go. These guys have already put the field into downtown Payne City, and they want to leave them there. This is the move of the day. If this doesn't do it, nothing will. They're on the last lap. We're bearing down on the finish. This is going to be fun. Nathan, these guys are throwing more coal on the fire right now. Their gap is growing. This is how the anatomy of a breakaway. You're watching it right now, folks.
Looking through here, Boniface and Rugg, they have a 10-second gap.
These are our men. I mean, 10 seconds
at the front
already.
end of the pack. It was a very interesting situation, and this is where you can see the team tactics in racing out on Zwift. You saw Boniface and Rugg get the gap. Immediately what happened was another dropouts rider went to the front and set it just fast enough that you gotta have to do something more to come by, but not fast enough that it gave any speed to the riders behind. That was the move. That was the tactic there coming from the dropouts. If anybody wants to go across, they would have to really punch it to 6-7 watts per kilogram. If you want to sit on the front, dropouts seem to kind of be controlling it where they're always second wheel or so and shutting down any kind of real effort here. Bowen here to the front, 4 watts per kilogram, BRT, Evoke. Now all the boys here from the dropouts have moved their way backwards, though, at this point. They're not going to help out at the front. It's going to be up to the other teams here. And will we see a situation where they even want to make a chase? There it is, Hodges, KRT. That's what I'm expecting. I'm expecting to see a lot of orange numbers because these riders, they're not going to want to work with the other teams. They're going to want to get away at this point and break things apart. If enough riders continue to do this, it will cause absolute mayhem amongst the pack. But there's got to be willingness, and we're seeing it here at this point. 3 seconds up. They get 3. They get 4. Davies, though, goes to the front. BRT looks like they maybe want a sprint situation because they're shutting it down. Interesting to see that BRT is not sending anyone across, but instead is shutting down the attack.
We can learn so much about how to race your bike here in this next couple of minutes. You make a great point, Nathan, because one of the things for sure is you don't want to drag the entire group up to these two guys. If you want to bridge, you do it with a startling effort. You have to go all in. No one's able to do that right now. This is really, really interesting because who is the team that feels that they're caught out the most? Because they're going to need to get some guys up to the front. It doesn't look like Evoke is going to be doing it right now. They don't have the horsepower, do they? I mean, they've got some very strong riders. They don't have the depth, I should say. But here
it's WTRL. Look at WTRL.
Yeah,
Ashton
sure
on the
is.
front, just driving 6 watts per kilogram. WTRL's like, no, we got our sprinter set up. They're sitting in the what is
can a
this?
team you do for you, right?
7 watts per kilogram here, but he's working for Hughes perhaps there, coming out of Ireland, because Hughes sitting in, yeah, Gavin Hughes, that's the name. Hughes is sitting in, it looks like, I believe. WTRL 4.7, but Ashton gets away here a little bit, but he is dragging things up. Hodges can see the game is up. Boniface is not throwing in the towel. He says, no, not so bad. You ain't so tough. You ain't so tough. Is that all you got? And he continues on as they go through some lap speed riders here. Boniface is not giving up the ghost.
Yeah, like a Don Quixote up there. He will, but look at this again. This is the problem with the breakaway. In order to win, you have to risk losing. We've that said many times. However, in esports, it's even more so because, again, Rug, you're such an impressive rider, Timothy. I definitely, at this point now, you have definitely put yourself on my radar. That's for sure. But we're going to reset. Does anybody want to counter, Nathan? Who's going to go up and over the top? Or is anybody
This is the moment. This is the moment to go if you're going to go here. And you can really put, okay, actually, this would be the sacrifice moment. This would be the moment where you sacrifice yourself for the rest of the team, though, because they will make a chase most likely, or at least the pressure's not going to come off then. And we do see Savory here now going. The Argentinian now 182 beats per minute, currently 502 watts coming from him. This rider here coming out of Argentina, I was looking at him up just a moment. It's Ariel Savory here now. Level 17 Zwifter now. Is an A+ racer now out on Zwift. Recently, just jumping out into the world of Zwift racing, actually. So a newer rider out here. He's putting out some crazy numbers, actually. Well, so we'll have to wait and see if he does get some verification around all this, but he is gone at this point. They may not chase him down here as Davies here from the BR team. Look, they're not even interested. Look, they believe they're going to bring him back. That, as I said, it would be a complete sacrifice at this point to force some sort of a chase, but it may not be worth much of anything because the reality is between here and that leg snapper, any kind of effort off the front is most likely going to be shut down pretty quickly as they hit that climb.
Yeah, remembering that you've got that opportunity, that sector to use, that really is the advantage that the Peloton has right now. Oh boy. Okay. Well, this is I think if you look at what Zwift Esports 2020, the difference going back to 2017 is you really can't win at this level without a team anymore, Nathan. And this is a really good example of that. We've seen 3-4 different squads using riders as sacrificial lambs out here, or trying to at least, but clearly the tactics are at an extremely high level.
These are the final moves here. These are the final moves here, Dave. Look at this. Gleason now. Gleason pods align exactly as you said. This is the talent here making their way to the front. They're going to they got to go now, though, if they don't want to sprint. I don't know if anybody's actually willing. If they start to see that everybody can just follow it up, the confidence goes out. You start to think this is not the gamble. This is not the time to go. This would be extremely risky to put everything on the table at this point. It looks like, though, they're just going to put the pressure on a little bit, soften up the legs, and wait for a sprint situation.
Yeah, I mean, there's way too much horsepower here to think that you're just going to ride off the front of this group. You have to be, at some point, keep the powder dry, I guess you would say. There will be an explosion. You know it's coming, but it's going to be a little while here. All right.
And we do see the chat coming through, actually, everybody. Real quickly, we do see the chat coming through. And yes, just so everybody knows, Z-Power is not able to win. I am just noticing. Great job out there to Savory for showing up, getting a workout. It's not about name and shame in any way whatsoever. Z-Power takes care of that, as well as the race organizers. So shout out to Savory for getting his workout out there today. A newer Zwifter. He's on Zwift Z-Power, though. And so Z-Power does not count in races a lot of times. The organizers, obviously, for the higher-end races who want the most accurate power, do not allow it to count. So
Nathan, I know we're getting a lot of new viewers. Just basically to sum it up,
yeah, so real quickly, for those of you who might just be tuning in, Z-Power or Zwift Power, Z-Power is essentially a power measurement that is used with a speed sensor instead of a power meter. It's based off of the spinning speed of the wheel, and essentially there's ways in which you can just make that wheel spin faster. It's not extremely accurate. It can be very far out. Even the setups that are well calibrated are still not within the limits that are good enough for making things accurate and fair out on Zwift. And so that's why Z-Power is a lot of times not allowed in the final results. They'll be out here in the race, they'll get the workout, but that's why he's not being chased, because all of these racers are extremely experienced. They know he's not going to be in the final results on ZwiftPower.com, that the organizers will call him from it. He's getting a workout, great for him. The reality is, though, this is where the race is at for first place.
No one's saying he's cheating, but no one is saying he's not either, is sort of thing, right? We just don't know because he hasn't been calibrated.
There's just it's kind of like somebody started the race who's not in the race, more like. It's not about cheating. It's not even about cheating.
They're not going to get baited out by, these guys are so experienced. They're not going to let some guy who's not going to be in the results, no matter what he does, bait them out or make them race differently. And that, I love that. I mean, that's just savvy racing. So here we go, moving into the finale now, Nathan. These guys are opening it up. Full gas here.
Yeah, and it's going to be Rugg toward the front now, it looks like. Now, we have seen moves like this work. We have seen the pack sleep because of a move like this. Long here to the front, though. It looks like Rugg is going, though. It looks he actually baited this out from Cunningham. Cunningham, though, actually, no, this is what's happening. Cunningham is a dropouts rider, and he is leading it out fast enough so nobody can come around him. Being chased down by the turbo rider, Brad Gavaris there as well, coming out of South Africa. Sagerbrook, turbo, perfectly set up. Look at Sagerbrook right on the wheel of Brad Gavaris. I love these lead-out trains. These esports teams are so incredibly experienced. You can see them perfectly set up, perfectly timed, right in the position that they need to be, following the wheels here. Ashton making his way to the front. Where's the next dropouts rider? Nobody's really there from dropouts here at this point. They put one on the front, but no one's really pushing the pace any longer. Lou's going, though. The South African's next. It looks like he's putting everything in at this point. He's got a gap. He doesn't have a lead-out train. This is a huge risk, actually, though. He's still got well over 500 meters. Will they chase him down? But they let him go. They're not even responding. He's got 3 seconds. Nobody's going here, Dave. This might be over.
They're going to run out of real estate way too quickly here. They have blown this one. This man is God is putting on a clinic right now. The South African is at fuego. Wow.
It looks like, is it going to happen, though? Right to the line. Boniface is coming on. Boniface is coming quickly. Brad Gavaris is right there. Team Turbo. Is he going to close it down? It's right at the line. But where's Hodges? Hodges almost coming through. Brad Gavaris, Team Turbo. Hodges comes through second. The turn of speed was not enough, and Turbo takes it down.
Oh, my. I mean, you talk about the risk, how deep he went. Oh, the South African. Breaking hearts here. Oh, tell me what, the emotion there. What a race. Unbelievable, Nathan. What a finale.
I'm seeing nothing but heartbreak. I'm seeing heartbreak and heartbreak in the chat right now. Everybody's saying
10 meters out?
Heartbreak.
10 meters he gets caught from the line?
That was so incredibly close. Not even. I mean, that was right there. Let's see if we can take a quick look at the replay here and see exactly what went down. And it looks like we've got it right here. And looking at this now, we see Hodges. Hodges. Look, we got another view actually coming through here. And look at Hodges right there. I mean, it's 5 meters. Oh, my gosh. Gavaris and Hodges coming through. It looks like he was able to hold on for third. Zimmerman actually fourth. Great result for Adam Zimmerman. Sagerbrook in fifth. Gleason followed up by Messinillo's all in there. Luke G is in there as well. I mean, that is an amazing result all around by all the riders. What a shot there, though, coming through. And Brad Gavaris, that kick coming from Gavaris was monstrous kick, though, coming from the rider.
Sarah Lowe gets my hero of the day. Though that late race attack, that was all heart. That's what bike racing is about. Yeah, the guys make the catch at the line, but without these attacks, where would the excitement be? Right?
Man, it was so incredibly close. I was extremely impressed by the move.
Well, he looked like he was racing through wet cement in the final. That's what happens when it's all over, right?
Let's see if we can get another view here real quick, Dave. I mean, we've got this here. And
look at the wattage that Hodges is making, too, in that.
So real quick here, look at this. Hodges now, Zimmerman. And it's Gavaris, though, who I think kicked up into 16 watts per kilogram for a moment there. I mean, that is just insanity there from Turbo.
I've never seen that before. I know you have a lot more experience. I've never seen
I mean,
that
That is an amazing kick there. But Hodges was right, almost right there along with him, and right to the line, but unable to come on through though. So amazing result. The B category riders, you guys. Again, I want to say just a quick apology. We really did want to bring in the B category results. Our feed there though has been jumping all over the place. And so we're going to see what we can do for it. But, jumping all over the place with the feed is not going to be the best thing for the show as it must go on. So just going to take a quick look, though, here at the results as they stand right now. As we're waiting for Zwift Power to update. Now, just to speak to the success of how well Zwift is obviously doing in this time in the world as far as bringing everybody together, getting them some exercise. Everybody, it's absolutely amazing to see at least some positive, Dave, right now in the world because we have this online platform. But it also creates a little bit of growing pains at a time, I think, that we weren't expecting Zwift to be taking off necessarily, or others who have servers like Zwift Power that's not updating very quickly right now. That I think there's a lot of overload because it's all of a sudden we're breaking numbers that we didn't even break in the winter, in our largest winter, in the world of Zwift.
I call it a good problem to have. I think everybody should try because this community, and that was really when Zwift started. That right now is maybe the community that I'm enjoying the very most. Is a lot of sheltering in place is not what we call it, right? Self quarantine makes more sense. During this time for a lot of folks, this is a community. And I think that everybody who had that original idea at Zwift has realized I knew the second I saw Zwift that people would be racing on it. Well, that racing community is seeing, as you've mentioned, just this huge surge right now. So hang in there, everybody. One thing's for sure, there's a lot of smart people, the engineers, the people who write all the code, and they'll get everything sorted out very quickly here. But unprecedented numbers. The number of people signing up for Zwift right now is off the charts. So welcome to everybody. And
yeah, big welcome. Big welcome to everybody who's jumping in, and we absolutely love having everybody in the streams. If you're new and tuning in for the first time, we are live on Facebook, obviously, but we also have our streams on Twitter as well as Twitch and as well as YouTube, so you can watch all the replays back. Again, apologies on some of the technical difficulties out here today. On some of the there was a couple of things that were in stream, but later tonight, though, you guys. We do have, me and Dave will be back. Now, there's this cool series. It's a little bit of a different thing that's going on that's really community focused in something new. It's harkening back to Zwift Community Live Test Labs in some ways. But the Midwala and Vivid Cycling stream that we did with meetups a couple of weeks back took on a huge amount of popularity. Dave and I had a ton of fun with it, and they ended up partnering up with Volet. And if you can head on over to volet.com/Zwift, and you can find the series. They a lot of their teams, actually, their mountain bike teams, pro teams, Team Tibco. I was seeing Orange Seal Off-Road Factory team, Volet Off-Road Factory team. I mean, the KS Kenda women's team. There's a lot of these riders are getting involved in Zwift now, specifically with this series as well. So it sounds like we're going to have some pretty awesome guests. I had hints of Payson McCalvin perhaps jumping in with us next week as well. So tonight we will be out on Whole Lotta Lava with three-person teams. They were for the Volet series that's going on with meetups. You can go ahead and sign up for them. Now, they are limited to 50 riders, though, because we are using meetups. So, but we're really excited with it. You can go ahead and register over there in order to get an invite to the meetup. It's a full one tonight already, guys. Like, obviously, super successful. And it's also a part of ways that I'm already talking to Zwift about this. And, early on, the way that we got events was because we started running events. And we just did it. We just showed up at the start line, and then all of a sudden it was like, whoa, people want this, right? So this is the kind of situation where you get involved. And it looks like I heard from Mr. Steely Dan over on Twitch and a couple of others. Right away they saw this and they put together a 3-man team, and boom, they're in there. And it's going to be great to see what's happening tonight. Dave, I'm really excited. The experience we had with the Midwala Vivid Cycling up at the top of the Epic KOM a couple of weeks ago was so much fun. It's so cool to see each of the riders and have the background information on very individual teams and these grassroots teams and what they're up to in their local communities and how they're expressing it to challenge each other out on Zwift.
I loved all the people that we've been meeting. It has been an absolute blast. I think that in a bizarre way, Nathan, I've learned about esports and there's so much data there. Racing really easy to, especially as you learn to use your tools. But the thing that I've appreciated the most over this last month, and you're part of it, Nathan, in a major way. Your help and being welcoming. You're a great example of how this community operates. And yeah, it's a lot of smart people doing some cool stuff and having fun along the way. And that's exactly what I want to sign up for. So the racing is phenomenal. I mean, I'm not bragging when I say I have a pretty extensive history of racing in real life. This for me has been a godsend. And I know for a lot of other people it has too. I'm not ready to race on Zwift. I'm ready to ride Zwift. And doing the commentary, though, for me, with you is exactly as much fun as I had at in real life events. This has
Yeah,
been
it's tons.
awesome.
It's tons of fun, and we can do it from the, the commentary side of it as well. Is its own. It's its own. We talk about just from the comfort of our home, being able to go and be a part of the reality of Zwift racing when we go and race our bikes in Zwift, which I absolutely love. It's one of the main things I do on Zwift. But there's also the reality of now all the other parts that are, Matt Stevens is hanging out on his couch. OJ Borg is in his pain cave. You're here with me coming from your room. We're a part of it too, from the comforts of our little studios that we've made up here to hang out with the community and talk about all the awesomeness they're doing. So, and all that's to say, tonight we'll be live, at 6:30 Pacific. 8:30 Central Time. Dave and I will be back for the Whole Lot of Lava, 3 times up the KOM challenges. The fastest times from all 3 members of the team. It'll be a lot of fun to see the teams that show up. I believe we got Tibco showing up tonight with some of their ladies, so it'll be fun. Make sure to tune in for that. We've already scheduled the stream, so make sure to turn on your reminders. Dave, thanks a lot. We'll see you later tonight. As always, it's tons of fun.
You're the best, Nathan. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, cheers, Dave. All right, everybody. So that was Dave Toll. This is Nathan Guerra. That was 3R loaded new spring loaded series. It's going to be 5 more races. They're looking to do more of the classic type courses, and make sure to jump into those every Tuesday for the next 5 weeks. We'll be out here broadcasting them. For the broadcast schedule, we are also watching out for the Koa League. Check out the website over at Koa Sports. The Koa Sports League, I believe .com is the other link that you can go to. Sign up for those as well. That's the other broadcast partners that we have that are putting on broadcasts here, and they're putting together an amazing event with private events as well as community events. They're doing a great job with their organization and keeping things fair out on Zwift as well. So watch out for those streams. Obviously, we got the final round of Callis Cup coming up this Thursday. Streams are being added left and right. I've got hints of a new Wednesday stream for twice a day that's on its way. So there is a lot going on here on Zwift Community Live, and I'm really excited to bring it all to you. But as always, everybody out there, great job to all the racers, as we always say. Amazing to see the kind of talent that's showing up there and the workouts that everybody's getting. And hope to see you guys out there riding out on Zwift tonight. I'm going to try and jump on as well. Thanks to all the viewers, and as always, ride on.